Okay, so just wanted, before we get going, I want to get confirmation that you guys are okay with us recording this and that it's okay to store in the archives. Okay, great. So this is a Langston Boulevard Legacy Business interview conducted by the Langston Boulevard Alliance that made possible by a historic preservation grant from Arlington County, Virginia. Today's date is the 13th of June, 2024. We are on site at Pastries by Randolph. My name is Bennett King, and I am a research assistant for the Langston Boulevard Alliance. We're joined today with our narrators, Marc and Deborah Randolph. And as we get going, I'd like you to just, we'll introduce yourselves and tell us how you guys got started in the business. So we'll start if you want to tell it together or however you want to do it.
Sure. My name is Marc Randolph, and we started this business in 1986. 1988.
We're glad you're here.
That's why she's here. That's why she's here. 1988, and in November 1988, I believe it was the 24th of November when we actually opened up.
Yeah.
And at that particular time, when we walked in, I told them all not to worry about it. This is a no-brainer, because we were all very highly trained and we knew our business, and there's nothing that.
Sorry, let me just check that real quick. Yeah, okay, sorry. I wasn't sure if that had set it off with the engine in the background, but we're good, so keep going with that.
Okay, so before we opened this business up, we were a Watergate pastry shop in DC, and we ran that for several years. And that was...
We'll let it get by.
That was kind of like the beginning of saying that I'm going to get serious about going into business. So while we were working there, we did tests and got ideas of everything that we would want to start off here with. And at that point, we felt that that was fine. We looked for a spot. And as we were driving up and down this spot, this used to be Heidelberg Pastry Shop.
Oh yeah, this was the original one.
This was the original Heidelberg Pastry Shop. He was here 13 years before we had left. Now, he had made an arrangement with the landlord that he was going to be leaving. They fought all the time. He made a good deal. He went and bought the land, put up his own building, and did very well. So we moved into that space, gutted the whole thing out, and started from square one. And the biggest problems we had in the first several months was people would walk by and say, "What a shame." And we'd say, "What a shame? Why? What a shame that you're here competing with Heidelberg." And I said, "Well, you know, there's enough business all over the place for everybody, you know." And there was. We always figured that no matter what we did, he did twice. Because he's big. He's got, I think at the time he had 8,000 customer base. Back way, that's over 30 years ago. So that's how that started, and it was my job to run the operations. It was Deborah's job to run the business side of it, the upstairs, the retail side, the accounting, take care of the books. I was designed for my end. Cindy was in charge of decorating. She was designed for her end. Deborah does not like customers. She does not like being around people. She was not designed for her end. She got the bad end of the deal. Unfortunately, she got the bad end of the deal. Sorry. She had the more experience with business and how to do bookkeeping and everything. The rest of us, we knew how to make. So, went from there, and we did extremely well. Very good. We were taken in by customers. They loved the product. The one thing we did that no one else did is we stuck to our guns on the highest quality that we could possibly do. I brought chocolate in from Europe. I brought purees in from Europe. I did everything. I bought by the tons. At that time, we were using a ton of butter a week.
Wow.
A week. ton of butter a week, and I was buying probably a ton of chocolate that would last us a month. But we were very big butter-based, very big heavy cream-based, where other places, and I won't mention names, were more into margarines, shortenings, and whipped toppings. Not that they're bad, they have their place. So over the years, we've stuck to those guns, and business has increased and has increased. The first year I was $50 off on my projections.
Wow.
$50 off on my projections. Which I was very surprised at, since she's more the business one than I was. But I said, this is what we'll do, and you know.
You're like, I was just guessing.
Yeah, right. And so that went good. We were the strongest in pastries in the area by far, and doubly strong in decorating because of Cindy. She was exceptional at her job. I can't say enough about how good she was.
It is.
It is. And in my opinion, she was the backbone of the business. I always say, I mean, that girl could work around the clock without even pulling a sweat. And she did. First 3 years, we worked 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, we had children, so Deborah had to go home and take care of the kids. But she didn't have a license, so Cindy or I would have to take her home and pick her up because there was no license there. She didn't learn to drive until she was 27? 27. But in my opinion, and documented however you want to document it, Cindy definitely was an integral part of this business. And I can't tell you, you know.
How'd you meet Cindy? Where was that
Seattle,
at
Seattle, Washington.
Was it in school or like
Nope.
what was the background
I
there?
went out to do some consulting work for a pastry shop out there, and she worked there as a decorator. A learning decorator, let's put it. A learning decorator, but it was a very good shop for decorating. And so I did consulting for that place, and they put her with me. So she traveled behind me, and everything I needed, I showed it to her, so that when I was gone, she would know what to do. And that's how Cindy and we met in Seattle. And then I was called back by the owner of Watergate, Nicholas Salgo. And he called me and said, I want you to run the pastry shop, because at that time they had a big turnover, and the main chefs left and went to Tivoli.
Oh yeah.
And so they had nobody. So I said, okay. And I came. After about a month, I called up Cindy and said, would you consider, because we could use you here, and this is good opportunity. And she did. She came down, and that's how that all started. And during that, it was my job Deborah was a confectioner. She made all the chocolate. She made anything to do with chocolate, and plus she did other stuff too she needed to do. And I pushed them to be the best that they could be at everything they did. And I pushed Cynthia, pushed her. We entered into competitions. We won gold medals.
What's an example of that? Just so, like, what would be your highest honor that you can think of that you guys won?
Oh, Cindy was up for an award for James Beard for decorating, and we entered 2 competitions at Watergate. One was for the Washingtonian magazine, where they brought in 26 chefs, I believe it was, and it was for a free trip to Hawaii. And so
Washingtonian. Washington dossier.
Oh, Washington.
Because Washingtonian is still in place.
Okay, Washington dossier. And so I won that. We won that. And Cindy and Deborah got a free trip to Hawaii. And then after that,
It's like, yeah, I did.
That was a very nice thing.
then after that, probably 3 years after that, they had a culinary competition in DC where there was all chefs from Europe, all around the world, a ton from here, and that was the biggest competition they ever had here. And so we entered into that. It took me 2 weeks to design and to make the product and to have the plexiglass pieces made to put the product on. Watergate paid $5,000 for those plexiglass pieces.
Wow.
$5,000.
Wow.
I want to pay that. And I came up with the product. I came up with every single piece. Deborah was an integral part. Cindy, very much so an integral part. And we won that. And not only did we win it with a perfect score that was never done before in this country. And that meant more to me because it was against all my peers that were in Europe.
That's amazing.
You know, so those were our two biggest culinary highlights, I guess. But I got to say too, as well, as this business was a success for 30 years.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I guess it still is in a way. But
Where did you guys get your training?
Deborah learned from me and from one of my best friends who was the best confectioner in France, Michel Chaudin.
Okay.
And he came over and he worked with Deborah for 30 days straight. And he was a master of what he did. He was the best in France.
Where did he was working with you at Watergate, or was this
At Watergate,
Yeah, he came over, he traveled over and spent 30 days with us. And yeah, he's like my older brother, kind of like. He always, you know, treated me, and I treated him with tremendous respect, and he always would tell me things to do and things that I could do better and all that kind of stuff, and he forced me to be a lot better. Cindy trained in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
She trained under an outstanding decorator. Actually, yeah, outstanding decorator.
Lee King.
Lee King, her name was.
Okay.
We also, in that circle, was another man, Larry Powell, who was an illustrator, artist who decided to go into the decorating business.
Huh.
And he was outstanding. And she learned a tremendous amount from him.
At the time, the West Coast was
Yes.
more premier on decorating
Yes.
than the East Coast.
The West Coast beat the East Coast by,
Wow, I wouldn't have
by
guessed
miles
that.
and bounds.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's how that went. And all of us together, we were well knowledgeable, very successful at what we did. So
And where was your training from?
I was trained in Europe,
Okay.
and also I worked
On the job training?
I worked a tremendous amount over here. Le Cirque in New York City.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Christopher's in New York City. 2 restaurants were Michelin stars. Windows on the World, I helped open it,
Wow.
and I worked there. I mean, I taught at Park West School. So I had a lot going on.
So what if you were to describe what you're known for, like if somebody's looking at this in 50 years, how would you describe Pastries by Randolph? What would you describe the business as?
High quality, lots of variety, and
Are there specialties that you're known for?
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The fact that when you walk into the store, my goal was always, I went around the whole area, Maryland, D.C., Virginia, and I looked at the pastry shops. And the biggest thing I noticed is they had this little 6-foot, maximum 8-foot case filled with 10 pastries. And I said, I want something to, when they walk in the door, they get knocked down by all the color, all the product, all the different techniques that went into it. And when we first opened up, it was different showcases, a different setup. It was an L back then.
Yeah.
It was an L. And we were known for our French and Swiss pastries.
Okay.
And we were known for the decorating. By far, decorating was big.
I will tell you, it still works because I almost had to take a knee when I walked in there. I was like, what? That's pretty impressive.
So,
Okay. So you talked about, what was the year again? 80, 88? Let's get
88.
Okay, started in
I don't know why I
88.
say 86.
Because Brian's born in 86.
Okay.
I was expecting our second son when we opened.
When you opened, okay.
And Justin is the second son. He's the one who's with his wife is taking over.
Okay. So that's a good segue to what I was going to ask you is what are some of the milestones in that 30 years that, what do you remember as it could be birth of children, or what do you remember as like these are true milestones of this business?
I mean, kids are always going to take precedent over anything else.
Yeah.
We had four kids, four beautiful kids, and they grew up.
They grew up in the
business.
bakery?
Yeah.
Or in the,
All of them.
Whether they liked it or not.
Justin, I don't know if you met Justin.
I didn't know.
Okay, Justin was the second oldest and running the place. Every Sunday I woke him up at 5 o'clock in the morning and said it's time to go to work. And I brought him into work, and half the time the kids would take cookie dough and throw it against the windows on the refrigerator, and I'd say, well, let's do some of this now. And he was, I think, 10-ish, 10-ish, and I brought him in every Sunday and all the holidays, and he worked side by side. He seemed to have the most potential, the most love for it, and so he learned out by how to mix chocolate chip cookies, and then he learned how to do little simple things, small things at a time. Learned how to bake, and he's an extremely excellent technician. Excellent at what he does. He's definitely.
Did they all learn the skill, or did some of them not want to do it? Or,
No.
Yeah.
Justin was the one that
He was the
learned
one.
the skills. He learned the skills. The other ones,
Probably more helps me
sure.
more for the,
they went up
like
in the
at
store
holiday
and they
times.
waited on customers.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And
Yeah, they were
help
good at
pack
that.
things. Like at holiday times, it's all hands on deck because there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
So they help box things or that sort of thing.
What is, like during holidays, is that people they're looking for something for their events and stuff like that? Is that what usually
Yes.
happening?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And whatever you think on a regular day, holidays could be 10 times
Wow.
to 20 times more.
Holy cow.
Yes.
10 tons of butter, that might.
Well, it would be crazy.
Wow.
It would be crazy. We'd work around the clock. And
Yeah, what was the one time they wrote the article in the Washington Post?
oh yes,
That
they said that we made the best cappuccino Yule log.
we never went home.
We never went home.
You got some orders.
We never went home. We just made cappuccino Yule logs all day and all night. Yeah. So.
Okay, I wanted to talk about, you were mentioning this, we were talking earlier, and it's okay if we don't want to talk about this, but I want to talk about some of the struggles, and I think it's where we've talked with all the businesses about the impact of COVID, and we want to make sure that people understand that in the future.
Oh.
If you're comfortable talking about that,
Yeah,
I'd
no problem.
love for you to tell us, like, what were the struggles during COVID?
The impact of COVID was dramatic. People slowed down coming into the shop. We actually closed down for how many weeks?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 weeks, because the kids came to us and said, we don't want you to catch COVID, and we don't want you to, and there was big hype on that COVID, which I never bought into. She already had COVID in January.
Yeah, I did
and
too.
Never even knew it,
Yeah.
She's just out of bed. I'd bring up food and she'd eat a spoon of it, and she stayed upstairs in the bedroom for the whole week, and that was it. As far as the shop going, sales dramatically dropped. Wholesale, which we were doing at the time, 600,000 to 800,000, ceased to exist. Prices started shooting up crazy. Eggs went from 8 cents an egg to 50. We use a ton of eggs.
Yeah.
We actually have machines that crack eggs,
Oh, wow.
and we can crack 30 dozen eggs in 3 minutes. So eggs was a vital part of our business.
Yeah.
Butter went up 300%. frozen eggs, which we use a tremendous amount as well, because they're separated, whites, yolks, went up 200%. Cream went from $1.25 a quart up to $4.50 a quart. We use a lot of cream, 300 liters a week. Chocolate as well. Chocolate went up dramatically. Everything just went out, and we could not raise prices enough to ever compensate for that. And on top of that, if you remember, people stopped working because the government was giving more money to stay home than to work. So now the people who were working wanted us to give them more money. So on top of that, if you wanted to stay in business, you had to give more money, which just brought payroll outraged, for especially for pastry shop.
Yeah.
Here we deal with dollars. We're not a doctor's office. We're not a corporate structure that make a deal for $1 million overnight.
Yeah.
This is dollars, $6, $7 for a pastry, and they take time. These pastries take a lot of time. Here we go. This is Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
No, you stay.
I'm Ben.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sit.
Can you bring down another chair?
No, that's okay. Those are all tied together.
Good to know.
So,
Okay.
so we every pastry, there's not just something thrown in a mold or just put. It's composites, usually of 3 or 4 different components. So it takes time, and they're costly.
Yeah.
They're costly.
But the impact of COVID really was, it would have shut us down if the government didn't bail out the businesses. We would have been done. We would have said, no, that's it.
Yeah, we would have just shut.
Because otherwise, everything, all the money was coming out of our pocket to
Yeah.
keep this place going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay to sell something.
Yeah.
So,
How did you kind of start opening up back up? What did you go
Mother's
through during
Day
that?
came,
Mother's Day came,
and then we were saying, well, nobody in the government knows what's going on with COVID, so, we'll just have to try and reopen and see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
and I think by that time I had COVID twice. When we were closed for the 6 weeks, I said, well, might as well do some repair work in the pastry shop. So I hired people to come in, put all new floors in and everything. Well, they had COVID and I got COVID. And she might have got COVID too.
Yeah.
She got COVID, She never got COVID again, I don't think.
no.
She was that one time in January she got COVID.
He thinks. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
I'm pretty sure. But she never got sick again, where I think I had it at least 3.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you had
Once.
it once then, yeah.
I'm a 4-timer.
4-timer.
You and I must have been at the same places. I don't know.
Okay, so let's. Any other things you wanted to talk about? Struggles in COVID?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
What more is the prices of dramatic. It does affect us when bird food comes.
Yeah.
When the dairy has issues. When fruit
Yeah.
freezes it with California. The chocolate now is just the problems for the cocoa beans. Everything just has skyrocketed the prices for us.
That dramatically affects this business.
Yes,
Dramatic.
and they're saying right now that chocolate prices could triple in price.
Oh wow.
That's crazy. And then what we're famous for is mousse cakes. White chocolate mousse, dark chocolate mousse, and marble mousse. We might not be able to make them. So it gets...
I'm going to test his memory.
Oh.
So he's told the story of how you met. So we're going to test and make sure that Marc's right on this. So what's your story on how you met and how you got involved with the business?
Well, we met in Seattle.
Okay, so we got one down. You got
Yeah, and he worked at the shop, and I was there to learn what he was teaching there and everything. And then when they moved back to work at the Watergate, then he called me up and said that if I would like to be a decorator there at the Watergate.
Yeah.
And I would be a little bit closer to my family, because from Ohio to Washington State was quite a flight.
Yeah.
So it was so much closer.
How'd you end up out there to begin with in Seattle?
Oh, I was married and was out there and got divorced.
Oh, okay.
Moved here.
Okay. Was there a reason that you wanted to, when he made you that offer, what made you say, yeah, I think I'll do
Well,
that?
like I said, it'd be closer to my family.
Just, yeah, you didn't care about these two. You just like,
No. It was just, that was a big one.
okay, makes sense. And then what caused you to, when you were at the Watergate together, why did you say, well, I think I'll go in business with them when they're going to go do this?
Kind of coaxed me into doing it.
Okay. Strong-armed her a little bit. Okay. Well, it sounds like you were pretty close.
I thought I was 100% there.
What was off?
No, he wasn't off. It was just Okay, so any other struggles besides COVID? Did you, over the years, were there any other things you faced that you had to get, hurdles maybe, that you had to get over?
Nothing.
Okay.
September 11th, she was afraid that business was going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, don't worry about it yet, you know, because we'll see what happens. And then business did great.
Yeah.
Right, actually, it was a positive thing for our
Yes.
business because
Comfort
people,
food.
Yeah, people wanted to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay, how about successes? Like through the years, what do you think? We've mentioned some of the awards, but what would you guys consider successes maybe of the business?
The fact that we're still here,
Yeah.
37
That's a huge success.
years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
Any other ones?
I mean, that just shows that, yeah, we did well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the neighborhood. You are one of the longer legacy businesses. We do have a couple that go back to the 50s and 60s, but you guys have been here quite some time. What's changed in the neighborhood over this period that you guys have been here?
You might know
Probably
more than...
I guess our customers are now becoming younger, where we had probably more, like, you had a lot of military people here, and then now they've aged out and they've moved to other locations, probably nearer to their family. So now you have a younger crowd coming in.
Yeah.
But I mean, initially we're part of people's lives. So we've have the people whose wedding cakes that we did. Now we're doing their kids' graduation cakes. I mean,
I
it's
know,
just,
that's
so
crazy.
strange.
So it's like a multi-generational business
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where initially that was not the case, you know, it was people who had extra money who could afford us because we were kind of like a luxury.
we still are. We're a Gucci shop.
Yeah.
We're, you know,
Affordable luxury, I guess, because you know, if you buy a pastry for $3 or you could buy one for $6, well, you're going to have better quality here. But you know, it's,
but I do believe in, since this is on history, I do believe these shops will be gone in 10 years. I don't think they'll be around anymore.
Really?
I think you'll just have Costco's and Walmarts
Yeah.
and grocery store places.
We're hoping to stop that.
Because the business trend is to go to mixes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, people that supply us with ingredients, they're always looking for me to buy mixes, and I say, no, that's not what we do. We're scratch baking.
Scratch, yes.
We don't use a mix at anything, and you know, kills them because they make more
Yeah,
money.
people can't believe it that we still do that.
Yeah,
Still scratch.
there's not one thing that we do not make.
Well, the fudge icing on
Fudge.
cupcakes. One thing.
Fudge icing is
yeah,
one
we don't
thing.
make that.
Yeah, and that's just because it's a pain in the neck, and I don't want to sit there and have to make it. That's-
Has the younger, you mentioned it's a shift to a younger generation. Has that shifted what you are selling? Like, have you noticed your the stuff that you're making and selling change because of a shift in?
No.
Still stays the same.
It's always been a person who wanted quality, and so now it's just different customer. Probably more there were kids; they were used to it.
Yeah.
That's, you know, people will always say, "Oh, your cake is always our family's favorite," and for every birthday or whatever, that's what we have to get. So.
Yeah.
And we've also always been well ahead of the curve.
Okay.
When we opened up, we were miles ahead. I would go to Europe all the time. I would be with friends over there, and I would bring back those ideas.
Yeah.
And so we would be miles ahead of everybody else. And we try to maintain that. We try to keep that. So that we're always a step ahead. It's harder now because that door's open to everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you still traveling to Europe to?
No,
go?
not that much.
Not that much.
when we retire.
Okay. That you mentioned there's some change in the clientele. What are you seeing the change on the boulevard, like, you know, gentrification, or what have you seen happen here? I guess.
The biggest thing that I've seen happen,
Change of the landlord.
landlord?
Landlord definitely changed.
The first landlord helped us a lot. Everybody else in Arlington hated him, and he was our biggest ally.
Yes.
Newman Carter.
He loved me because he was a gruff admiral in the military, and when he got gruff, I got twice as gruff.
He liked that.
and I'm the only one that never crinked around him. I would say, hey, I tell him what to do. I tell him, no, you're wrong. Like he was not a woman lover. So when when we all sat down negotiating the rent the first time, and he helped an amazing amount. The showcases cost $120,000. We had to bring him in from Germany.
Wow.
He paid for the showcases, and he gave us a loan. It was 10%, but we had to pay him back in 5 years, which we had no problem. We did it. He put in all of the flooring. He did every bit of the build out.
Wow.
He gutted the place and put all the new electric in. He did everything. I can't say nothing but the best about him. His name is Newman Carter.
Okay.
And for us, he was outstanding.
And that set of land, he cared about all these shops here. He wanted only small businesses. You never would have had Chipotle. You never would have had a Starbucks.
Yeah.
You never would have had it.
No.
He only wanted small little businesses, family-run, unique things. That was his goal. So that was, he really did, I think, care about Arlington, per se, and trying to be unique.
And he was a killer. Because back, you always have regulations in a county or a district. You have regulations, and the building inspectors are in charge of that. No one wouldn't care. He'd say, you need something? And he said, and then I said, I don't need anything. He says, well, I think you need a patio out there. He put a patio out there. He didn't even ask the building inspectors. They came out and said, what is this? I said, go talk to Newman. Newman,
Well, you know when we opened up?
Oh yes, when we opened up, we couldn't get him to come and sign off on the occupancy
We
permit.
waited.
We waited.
The
and waited.
county, you mean?
The county.
Yeah.
They were taking time, and we wanted, and it was getting close to the 24th, which was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Newman went down there and said, give him the dumb.
No.
What
What he said?
Open up
He
before
says,
Oh,
them
open
to show
up.
up.
That will get them to come in.
Yeah.
And the day we opened up, they came in.
Yeah,
He heard about it, and he's right. That's how they came in.
Yeah.
And it worked out. We should have done that 2 weeks sooner, at least.
Yeah. He was a bulldog. He was just like.
You knew what would
Yeah.
work.
The toy store over there that has the tent of it,
Yeah.
that wasn't allowed. Newman put that in and let the.
It was
and-
temporary.
Well, that's how that ended up that way.
And he dealt with it afterwards, you know.
It's temporary, so it wasn't a permanent fixture.
Yeah. Looks like it used to be a hot dog stand or something over there.
The only other thing that me personally could say about the area that I disagree with is this was Lee Highway. And I think it still should be Lee Highway, not Cherry Hill Road. But that's,
This one's Cherry. The one here is Cherry Hill Road.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that used to be Lee Highway.
Yeah.
But like I said, the other part is Lee Highway, and then
Right.
now
Weird.
it's broken up, which, like Deborah says, it's better. That's
Yeah.
it's
Right,
not
people won't get
got
confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise, pretty much, I can tell you, everything here has really stayed the same in these years that have gone by.
Hello. Hey.
So, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say.
Let's share some of your maybe your favorite. We'll start with you, Cynthia. Some of your favorite memories of this place.
I was. And honestly,
You want some warm up? We can start on this.
Honestly, I think it was that we came in. What time was it? 11 o'clock at night,
Uh-huh.
and we did the Danish. We did all that. We got an hour nap. After I got up, he took an hour nap. Got up. I started my second shift
Wow.
of doing the cakes and everything else. So we kind of started. It was just us three,
Yeah.
controlling everything until after 3 years. I said, I can't take this anymore.
And
But
then
it's good memories of that.
tell them what you told me. Can't take it anymore, and what? To hire somebody? So, I hired somebody. First guy that came in, I hired him.
Because he was upset that I was trying to break up what we had,
Yeah.
the owners taking over everything. And
What I didn't realize is he was a mass murderer.
Oh,
I told him, he
Here's a
said,
story.
he told me about up there, and he was interviewed, so okay, can you start next week? I said, what's going on? And then I talked to him a little bit. He said, you hired him. I said, Mark, don't you know there's something wrong with this guy? No, you wanted someone to come in, so I hired the first person. And all this, and he was in the service and all this. And he had a metal plate put in his head. I said, he shaves his head. Where do you see stitches? Mark, don't hire him. Get rid of the guy. Something's wrong with him. No, you wanted somebody. So here he worked, and I said, this guy is not normal. And then we kind of was concerned about, too, that we couldn't leave him alone with anybody at the shop. We didn't know about his history or anything.
Yeah.
And then what was it that happened? That finally, I said, you got to fire this guy.
So I said, pack these mini croissants. You need so many. And he couldn't count right. He put too much of this, not enough of that. I said, that's not what I asked you. I asked you to do this. And he said something to me. I said, that's it. You're gone.
Found a good reason.
You're out of it. I mean, you talk back to me, then you're done. And so we let him go. And 6 months later, it was all over the news that Hayden Clark had killed Laura Holden in Maryland. And that his brother and Hayden had killed 6-year-old kids.
And then he cut up,
Remember that
the
name,
brother
Hayden
killed
Clark?
up people and put them in the dumpster, and he killed a little
Holy
girl
cow.
and put her under the floorboards. And
I'd say something was wrong with him.
Yeah.
We said, yep,
So,
I knew that something was wrong with that guy.
The only good thing out of that whole nastiness was that after he left us, he went to work for Chesapeake Bagel. So when they said, and he worked the last job, Chesapeake Bagel. Thank God for that.
God, he had a
He
job.
didn't say Pastries by Randolph. I mean, that's what I needed, you know? So that was good. That was good. But he used to come to work on rollerblades with a hockey stick from DC and a stone, a rock, and he'd be playing hockey all the way down, and he'd leave on his rollerblades and play hockey all the way to DC.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, she asked me to get somebody. I got somebody. That's all I can say.
I told him to
was-
fire him the first day.
How was I supposed to know?
I told him, I said, he seems like a mass murderer. That's what was ironic about the whole thing.
Yes, he did look at the girls and lick his lips.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's when we knew that
Yeah.
this was not the good man for us.
Any happier memories? Any
That is
other-
unique, except we talked
That is
about
very
still,
good. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Okay, Deborah, how about you? How about some of your favorite memories?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Mark?
I think for us, we really put our heart and souls into the business.
Yeah.
So we would be here all the time. We really wouldn't take too many vacations. Although we did get away. When we had good crews on, we could take vacations. And when you didn't, you just didn't. But, I mean, for me, the way I looked at life at Pastries by Randolph was every day was a learning scenario, and that was the biggest thing I love to learn. I love learning, and every day I learn. And so, 35 years, I feel like a good run for me in doing what I wanted to, and that I achieved it, and that I felt that I learned many things. I learned about people, I learned how to deal with people, because before here I didn't know how to deal with people. I was a Hitler, literally a Hitler. You know, when I was brought up in the business, the chefs were all yelling at people, hitting them in the head, pulling out knives and gonna stab you and everything. It was a war zone, and I learned how to be a war zone.
Wow.
I learned that's why I never backed down from Newman. I was already seasoned. That you mess with me, I'll stab you or something. You know.
yeah. I mean, yeah. That's
Yeah. So I learned a lot. I learned how to deal with people. I learned how to respect people. I learned how to. It took me a while. I learned how to take people for who they were, because I was brought up that you worked 100% or better.
Yeah.
But you couldn't expect people to do that over here. You can't do it now. You can't expect it now. So I would say, okay, I'll take 90%. 90% didn't work. I said, well, I'll take 85. 85 didn't work. So I got down to 70 and I said, well, that's got to be it. And that's what I dealt with. And I learned to deal with that. I learned to go on that basis. And now I'm working on 50%. Because now you can't find people that, number one, want to work or can work.
What you were mentioning, learning to deal with people. We can talk to all three of you about this. What is your relationship with the community? How do you feel about the community? Maybe what do you think the community feels about you? What kind of relationship have you built here? Deborah, you want to start with that one? You see the people more.
Yeah, I guess it's more that we're part of their lives, and it is kind of fun to see little kids, and now they're parents and bringing their kids. So I guess that's being part of it.
Yeah, and I don't know because I'm down in the basement. I don't see anything. I don't know anything going on.
And really, literally, I could walk up here with 1,000 people in this store, and they won't know me. And one day I was working on the coffee machine. This was 15 years ago. I was working on the coffee machine, and a lady yelled over the counter and said, "Are you one of the chefs here?" I said, "I'm the coffee repairman."
You didn't say that word.
I did it. I said, "I'm the coffee repairman." And, I just was very much into myself. I believe if I was different, we could have done double the amount of business.
Sounds like you did good for 30 years.
We did, but I think if I came out here and kissed babies and shook everybody's hand and did stuff like that, we could have done better. But that was just not me. I wanted to do the best that I could do, and everything else is don't bother me. I didn't want to know. The only time I would come upstairs is when they would call me and say we got an irate customer or something, and I'd have to come up and do what I do. But
did you come up with a knife?
No. But one time I had a knife in my hand.
He was cutting the butter.
I was cutting the butter. Big knife like this, and I was cutting the butter, and I didn't put it down. And I said, "Is it the problem?" And that person ran out.
He was just cutting the butter, just a butter knife. Mama didn't know what the problem was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
You couldn't see the problem. He said the knife's out with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you mentioned some of the struggles. Pricing is a big struggle. Where do you guys see? Where do you guys want this to go? Like, do you want to stay in business? Is it getting tough? Like, what? Just give us some ideas. There, as much as you're comfortable talking about, or is there another generation? Or
Well, labor is tough.
Okay.
That just gets worse and worse. And making it more difficult for our son to be able to run something like this, because when we opened it, we grew it, so it wasn't as big as it is now. So, and there were 3 of us to divide the chores, and now he and his wife, only 2. You're going to lose that 1/3 leg. Someone who you could trust. Somebody was always here. They'd be here the early times. I'd hear the later times. So there was always somebody around. Now that'll be much more difficult for them because they don't have a third.
Well, it's even beyond that.
And then
beyond that, there's just a lot more complications.
So whether or not they'll be able to do it, it's going to be up to them. But I think the times are changing. So.
what are there things the county could do to help with that? I know the cost of product is not going to be one of them, but are there any things the county could do to help with that?
I don't know. The way we need to increase sales, obviously that's the best way. We need to increase sales. In the past, we worked on word of mouth. People would say, "Oh, go to Pastries by Randolph." Oh, they were from Watergate. That's how we first opened up.
Yeah.
Although they were the chefs at Watergate, you got to come over here. And that all came over here, and that gave us a good push. Now, it's nothing like that. And the younger generation, which is good, have different ideas, which is good because I consider us dinosaurs. So like I said, I never did a Zoom thing, or she's done Zoom, but me and Cindy, the Zoom from the whatever. So, but their ideas are very expensive. And we are spending an enormous amount of money on, what is it called?
Social media?
Social media. Massive amounts of money on social media. And personally, between you and me, I don't see the return.
Yeah.
I don't see the return. Yeah. It's not doing anything. We don't see increased sales. So.
And then the increase of between the labor and the product cost gets to the point where that's isn't any interesting anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So why is it? You mentioned that 10 years, 15 years, you don't think companies like this are going to be around anymore.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's important that long-lasting, now multi-generational businesses, legacy businesses, why are they important in communities like this?
I think because they maintain a certain value and a certain mentality. I can't say quality because not everybody goes for that. But there's a value that those
unique
Something that they bring that's important. And once that is gone, we lost part of history.
Because I'm assuming you talked to like Kinderhouse.
We haven't talked to them, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because Kinderhouse used to be here before Child Play went in. And nothing against Child's Play, but Kinderhouse was so much more unique of things.
Yeah.
It's just, and then this was more, to me, this is more commercial like Toys R Us was.
Yeah.
So like different things there. The uniqueness of a small business is what makes us different.
And this was, in my opinion, a lot better when Newman ran it, because he kept those very unique shops in here, which made us different from other places.
Cynthia, do you have anything to add to that?
No.
You got it all?
And just to give you a little backwards motion, because we skipped over it. 5 years ago was the end of our lease.
Okay.
And I went to the landlords and said, as of this date, we will no longer be here. Pastries by Randolph will be closed. And that was the plan. Mm-hmm. And Deborah called me up one day and said, they want to have a talk with you.
The landlord.
The landlord wants to have a talk with you. And hindsight, I kicked myself. I should have not even had a talk with him. And we just should have closed down, because then we wouldn't have had COVID. We wouldn't have had all the problems that came with it.
Yeah.
And I think I would have left with a legacy more suited to what I would have thought our legacy should have been.
Well, I can tell you that when we told people we were going to be coming here, everybody that talked to us, you have a legacy, because we went to the other small businesses and they can rave about you. So you do have a legacy. I know that that's not, exactly what you're talking about.
And it's nice to know that what we did meant things, and that hopefully it made other people strive to look at things the same way we did. And that's for me the more important thing. What people care about me, I could care less. We did the best we could do.
Yeah.
How it came out is the best we could have done. Like I said, I maybe could have been better if I was more cordial to come up here and kiss babies like Wolfgang does. Wolfgang, you got to do a thing on Wolfgang?
Yeah, we've been trying to get in. It's the scheduling is difficult, as you guys can understand.
Yes.
Right?
The food business is so hard.
Yeah.
He's low on help, and
Everybody
he needs to retire.
We talked to Tony Awad at Photoscope. I don't know if you guys know him. He's down the street. He's a baby kisser, I would say. And he was even saying he can't. He almost doesn't want to go to the store anymore, because if he goes to the store to get butter, he has to be there for an hour, because everybody knows
Yes,
it.
everybody knows.
Yeah,
Well,
so maybe there's a benefit not doing it.
Wolfgang is the same. He'll go out.
Yes.
He'll go
To
out,
his benefit.
shake hands, and kiss babies. I was just never one of those people.
He knows that.
And I guess I could have bent my arm to do it. If someone would have came and said, if you do this, it'll increase business, maybe I would have said, okay, I got to do it.
Well, it sounds like the product is speaking for you, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's...
And that's what it always was about for me.
Yeah.
It was the product. How good we could make it, how better can we improve it. We never satisfied with what we had. We always try to make it better.
Well, any other stories you wanted to get on the record? I think we've got everything we need.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Well, we got, thank you guys for participating in this. I'll go ahead and stop the camera now.